Something else that happened in professional football yesterday that we skipped over. I don't know, Mike, did you have time for Sean Taylor's statue unveiling, or did it get swallowed by all your college or all your professional football and football coverage?
I had time for that. It was a topic of discussion. A lot of people, I think, rightfully took offense to how lazy this display was. I understand art is subjective sometimes, and statue to some may look more like a shopping mannequin, but the level of care they decided to not put into this tribute. You're immortalizing a great player, a player that your franchise often continues to kind of grift off of. It's the one good PR you guys could have, and yet
it's macabre, right? It's macabre.
They keep botching it, and the way that they botched it this time was it's not much of a statue. It looks more like a mannequin, and they didn't even care for continuity. Dude's got the old football team helmet on, fine. That's a helmet that he wore, okay. We don't have to say the football team's name. A Nike jersey in which he never wore, Reebok pants, and Adidas soccer cleats. The socks aren't even connecting. It is just so hastily put together. It's almost as if you took a group of middle school kids and gave them an art project and said, give me back a Sean Taylor statue within the next 30 minutes. This is supposed to have an element of care to it. Why every time this franchise, I guess you can remember when I said how you do anything is how you do everything? You can say that about the Washington football team, because even their tributes to the late Sean Taylor have routinely missed the mark, whether it's a photo op in front of garbage cans and porta potties, whether it's Jackson Mahomes doing a TikTok dance on his number, whether it's this embarrassment of a statue. That Washington football franchise has continually dropped the ball. Anytime they're trying to use Sean Taylor's good name for good press, they find a way to not only insult his legacy, but the people that loved watching him. I was so... At this point, Dan Snyder's out the door. It was so emblematic. Why even give that assignment to this franchise and to the people running it right now? Because they've shown you time and time again they'll botch it.
Stugotz, it's an interesting appraisal here where all you're asking, it's such a bare minimum ask on decency, which is if you're going to actually try to honor the life of someone who meant something to you and not feel like you're just grifting off of the tragedy because you don't have any good publicity. So let's trot out a guy who died too young as a conquering hero, a relic of the last time the team was any good and was unquestionably great. That person's story would come through Miami, and it's unusual, Stugotz, because you hear the way that Miami players who played with him talk about Sean Taylor before his death, like an athlete among athletes. He gets to Washington and he dies too young. Home invasion in his own home. He gets shot on an artery in the leg and just dies. The bare minimum ask that you're asking of the toxic workplace of Washington is, can you just honor the man's death with a modicum of care?
Some thought, some care, some attention to detail.
Just a modicum of care. Can you care the bare minimum if you're going to grift off his legacy, if you're going to trot out honors and you're going to make it something to celebrate, can you at least treat us with the decency to treat his memory with some care, some decency?
But you guys are upset about this, and I was upset about it as well. Sean Taylor, many people will say he's the greatest safety ever, was great off the field as well. But what do you expect from Daniel Snyder? What do you expect from that organization at this point?
Is Daniel Snyder
attention to detail?
Wait, is Daniel Snyder team leader? This is so hastily done. It doesn't.
It was terrible.
I'd just rather them not do something. We were hanging out. This is not a look at me, Louie, but we were hanging out with one of Sean's former teammates recently as he got the news, and he was deeply insulted by this. Every time they miss the mark and they find a way to insult the man and his fans. Why is it? They've tried this 3 different times.
It is. It's weird that each time there's been something that has been done wrong, and as soon as this one comes out, Stugotz, it seemed like the people were most offended by Nike top, Reebok pants, Adidas shoes.
It's emblematic of how little they care. I think that's important. We can't wear a uniform that he wore. We can't even pay attention to the smallest, slightest detail. It just looks like a clearance rack. It looks like a clearance rack with how they put that thing together. Just don't do it. Leave it for the new owners.